Ever feel like English verb tenses are a giant, confusing puzzle? Well, today we're going to solve it piece by piece. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete map of all 12 English tenses, and you'll know exactly when and how to use each one. Let's get started. First, let's break it down. There are 3 main time frames: present, past, and future. Within each of these, we have 4 aspects: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. 3 times 4 equals 12. See, it's already starting to make sense. Let's begin with the present family. First up, the simple present. We use this for habits, routines, and general truths. For example, I drink coffee every morning, or the sun rises in the east. The structure is simple, subject plus the base form of the verb. But watch out for the third person singular. We add an S. So, he drinks coffee, not he drinks coffee. For questions, we use do or does. Do you like pizza? Does she work here? And for negatives, I don't like spiders, or she doesn't live in London. Next is the present continuous. This is for actions happening right now or around the current time. Think I am talking to you right now. The structure is subject plus the verb to be am, is, or are plus the verb with an ing ending. You are learning English. He is watching TV. A common mistake here is using stative verbs, which describe states, not actions. We say I know the answer, not I am knowing the answer. Stative verbs like know, love, believe, and want usually stay in the simple form. Now, for the present perfect, this one connects the past to the present. We use it for actions that happened at an unspecified time in the past but have relevance now, or for actions that started in the past and continue to the present. For example, I have seen that movie. When did I see it? It's not important. The important thing is that I have the experience now. Or, she has lived here for 10 years. She started in the past and still lives here now. The structure is subject plus have or has plus the past participle of the verb. We have finished our homework. He has traveled to Japan. Rounding out the present family is the present perfect continuous. We use this to emphasize the duration of an action that started in the past and is still happening. I have been waiting for 2 hours. The focus is on the waiting. The structure is subject plus have or has been plus the verb with an ing ending. They have been studying all day. It's similar to the present perfect, but it really highlights the continuous nature of the activity. All right, that's the present family done. Now let's travel back in time to the past. We start with the simple past. This is for completed actions at a specific time in the past. I visited Paris last year. She graduated in 2020. The key here is that the action is finished. For regular verbs, we add ed. I walked to the store. But be careful with irregular verbs. Go becomes went, eat becomes ate. You just have to memorize them. For questions and negatives, we use did. Did you see the game? He didn't call me. Notice the main verb goes back to its base form after did or didn't. Next is the past continuous. This describes an action that was in progress at a specific moment in the past. It often sets the scene for another action. I was watching TV when the phone rang. The watching was in progress. The structure is subject plus was or were plus the verb with ing. They were playing soccer at 4 p.m. yesterday. It gives us a snapshot of an ongoing activity in the past. Then we have the past perfect. This is the past of the past. We use it to talk about an action that happened before another action in the past. Imagine a timeline. When I arrived, he had already left. His leaving happened before my arrival. Both are in the past, but the past perfect action happened first. The structure is subject plus had plus the past participle. She had finished her work before she went to the party. It's essential for showing the sequence of past events clearly. And finally, for the past family, the past perfect continuous. This is like the past continuous, but it emphasizes the duration of an activity that was happening before another event in the past. I had been driving for 5 hours before I finally found a hotel. The focus is on the long duration of the driving. The structure is subject plus had been plus the verb with ing. He was tired because he had been working all night. It explains the cause of a past situation. We're 2/3 of the way there. Now let's look to the future. The easiest is the simple future. We can form this in 2 main ways. First, with will, for predictions, spontaneous decisions, and promises. I think it will rain tomorrow. Or if someone says the phone is ringing, you might say, I'll get it. Second, with be going to, for plans and intentions. I am going to visit my grandparents this weekend. That's a plan you've already made. The structure is will plus the base verb, or am, is are plus going to plus the base verb. Next, the future continuous. This describes an action that will be in progress at a specific time in the future. This time tomorrow, I will be flying to Hawaii. Imagine yourself on that plane tomorrow. The structure is subject plus will be plus the verb with ing. Don't call me at 9 p.m. I will be studying. It helps us picture an ongoing activity in the future. Now, for a slightly trickier one, the future perfect, we use this for an action that will be completed before a certain time in the future. By 10 p.m. tonight, I will have finished my project. By the time you arrive, we will have eaten dinner. It's about looking ahead to a point in the future and seeing an action as complete. The structure is subject plus will have plus the past participle. And our final tense, number 12, the future perfect continuous. This one is quite rare, but useful for exams. It emphasizes the duration of an action up to a certain point in the future. By next month, I will have been working here for 5 years. It focuses on the 5 years of continuous work. The structure is subject plus will have been plus the verb with ing. When he turns 30, he will have been playing the piano for 25 years. And there you have it, all 12 English verb tenses. We've covered the simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous for the present, past, and future. The key is to think about the timing and the purpose of what you want to say. Is it a habit? Is it happening now? Did it happen before something else? Practice is everything. Try making your own sentences for each tense. Write about your day, your past experiences, and your future plans. Pay attention to how native speakers use these tenses in movies and books. It might seem like a lot, but with a bit of practice, it will become second nature. You'll start using them correctly without even thinking about it. I hope this complete grammar lesson has made verb tenses much clearer for you. Remember, mastering them is a huge step toward fluency. Keep practicing and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more English lessons. Let me know in the comments which tense you find the most difficult. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
Okay, let's just dive right in. We have spent countless hours dissecting some huge complex topics, but today we're going right to the absolute core structure of the English language itself.
We really are.
We're talking about time, or maybe more accurately, the incredibly complex but also really elegant system that English uses to organize and express time.
It's the scaffolding, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the fundamental framework that dictates when, how, and why every single action in English is communicated.
Yeah.
I mean, if you misunderstand the tense, you fundamentally misunderstand the message.
Exactly. And our focus today is mastering the 12 English verb tenses. Now, for so many learners, and let's be honest, even for native speakers who just sort of absorb them, these 12 tenses can feel less like a system and more like an overwhelming list of rules.
Oh, absolutely. It's the primary spot where that feeling of information overload happens. Distinguishing between, say, I have eaten, I was eating, and I had been eating. That requires recognizing three completely different relationships with time.
Right. So our mission is tailored precisely for you, the listener, who wants that thorough knowledge, but without, having to read a dry grammar textbook. We're using a comprehensive grammar lesson transcript as our source, and we're going to distill the structures, diagnose the most common mistakes.
And, crucially, reveal the key nuances. We want to show how all 12 of these tenses connect the past, the present, and the future with almost surgical precision.
It's all about purpose.
It is. If you can master the intent behind these 12 structures, not just memorizing the conjugation, you unlock true linguistic confidence. English speakers use these all the time, automatically, but the real power lies in analyzing those subtle distinctions. Simple, continuous, perfect forms. This deep dive isn't about memorizing tables.
No.
It's about understanding the precise purpose each tense serves.
Okay, so let's begin right where everything begins, the present stack. These are the tenses that anchor us to the moment, even when they're reaching back into the past.
The present simple is the undisputed workhorse of the English language. I mean, it just dominates conversation.
Why is that?
Because it deals with the most static and fundamental concepts. It's the language of generalization and stability.
Right, and our source material is very clear on this. It says we use the present simple to describe 4 very specific categories that define that stability.
And those categories are the bedrock: habits, routines, facts, and general truths. Just think of anything that is permanent or recurring or, universally verifiable. It's what you say when you define a state of being or a pattern.
Okay, let's break those down. So if I say I cycle to work every day, that's a habit. It's a routine.
Exactly. The key is every day. It's repetitive.
And what about a fact, like the sun rises in the east?
An undeniable fixed fact, a general truth. We don't say the sun is rising in the east unless we're literally watching it happen this very second.
Ah, okay, so that would shift us into a different tense.
It would shift us right into the continuous form, which we'll get to. But for fixed realities, even future schedules like the train leaves at 7 a.m.
Even though it hasn't left yet.
Right. The schedule is a fixed fact in the present, so we use the present simple.
Okay, so the structure itself seems easy. It's just the base form of the verb, I talk, you run. But here is the first major linguistic tripwire.
The dreaded he-sheet rule.
Yes, even people who have been speaking English for years can stumble on this one.
It is truly the signature mistake of the present simple. It's a non-negotiable rule. When your subject is third-person singular, he, she, or it, you must add an S or S to that verb.
And if you forget it?
It immediately flags non-native fluency. Your sentence is just technically incorrect.
So let's be super clear here. If I work from home, then she.
She works from home.
If they eat lunch at noon, then he.
He eats lunch at noon. That seems so small. But it's the entire mechanism for verb agreement.
So that's the only real change you have to watch out for in the conjugation.
It is, which makes it the highest priority. You should always be checking for it.
Now, what about questions and negatives? This is where we bring in the auxiliary verbs, do and does.
Right, and it's a fascinating structural requirement in English. And you'll notice does is just the Heshite form of do. So the rule is consistent.
So to ask a question, we just put that auxiliary verb at the start.
Exactly. Do you play guitar? Or, for a single subject, does she like coffee?
And here's the other critical part of that. Once you use does, the main verb, like or play, it drops the S. It goes back to the base form.
Yes, you never, ever say, does she likes coffee. The auxiliary does is already doing the heavy lifting of conjugation.
So it's efficient in a way.
A very efficient system once you get it. And it's the exact same for negatives. We use do or does plus not, usually contracted.
So I don't watch much TV. He doesn't go to the gym.
And again, the main verb stays in its base form. Go, not goes. The auxiliary takes all the weight.
Okay, so moving from those static facts of the present simple to the dynamic live action of the present continuous.
I like that. If the simple is the dictionary definition, the continuous is the live video feed.
That's a great way to put it.
Its core usage is strictly for actions that are happening right now, at this exact moment. But, and this is important, it also covers actions happening around now, temporary, ongoing situations.
Okay, let's explore that nuance. So if I call you and ask, what are you doing? I mean, right this second.
Exactly.
But if I say, I'm reading a fantastic book this week, I'm not necessarily reading it right now while I'm talking to you.
No, but the action is temporary and it's ongoing around this present period. And that contrast with the simple present is fundamental.
How so?
Well, compare these. I live in London. That's a permanent sounding fact, right? Present simple.
Right, it's my home.
Versus, I am living in London temporarily for a project.
Ah, present continuous. It communicates that it's a temporary state.
Precisely. The choice of tense tells your listener everything about the duration. The structure is pretty simple once you internalize that to be component.
Subject plus to be so, am, is, or are, plus the main verb with an ing at the end.
And our source highlights that for fluent, natural speech, contractions are almost obligatory. She's working, they're studying. It sounds much more natural.
And for questions and negatives.
It's effortless because that to be verb acts as the auxiliary.
Yeah.
You just switch the order for questions. Are you watching that?
The to be verb just jumps to the front.
Yeah. And for negatives, you just insert not. They aren't doing anything wrong.
Okay, now we get to what I think is a truly crucial aha moment for so many learners. The state verb prohibition.
Yes, this is a non-negotiable rule.
Yeah.
And it really separates the advanced speakers from the beginners. It's a major grammatical boundary.
So what is it exactly?
Certain verbs, we call them state verbs, they cannot be used in the continuous form because they describe a static state, a condition, or a feeling, not a dynamic action you can watch happening.
So things you can't really be in the middle of doing, like perception verbs, see, hear, or emotions like hate, prefer.
Or possession, own, belong, and cognition. You
Yeah.
know, believe, understand. You either know something or you don't. It's not a process that can be interrupted.
So the state is binary. It's on or off.
Correct. So for any of these state verbs, you must always revert to the present simple. The correction is always, I know the answer. Never, ever, I'm knowing the answer.
Or I believe that's true, not I'm believing that's true.
Exactly. And that distinction is absolutely critical for sounding fluent and natural.
That's fascinating. It forces you to think about the meaning of the verb before you can even choose the tense.
It's a sophisticated choice, yes.
All right, now we enter the really complex territory with the present perfect. This is, as you said, the great connective tense.
It is, because it forces us to reconcile a finished past action with our present reality. It's all about relevance now.
Its core usage applies to three main scenarios, right? First, life experiences, up until now.
Like, have you ever tried sushi? Your whole life is the time frame.
Second, changes that have happened and are still relevant. And third, and this is the tricky one, finished past actions where the result persists in the present.
That third point is often the hardest to grasp. The action itself is finished, but choosing the present perfect signals that the consequences matter now.
So instead of saying, I saw the movie last week, I'd say, I have seen that movie, so I don't want to watch it again.
Precisely. The past viewing dictates your present decision. That's the connection.
And the structure requires that third form of the verb, the past participle. So it's subject plus have or has plus the past participle.
Which is why memorizing irregular verb forms like eaten, seen, gone is just mandatory. There's no way around it.
And that past participle is a high-value form to learn, isn't it?
It's incredibly high value. Use it in all 4 perfect tenses. Plus, it's the key to forming the passive voice. So mastering that one form really doubles its utility.
Okay, let's talk about the unfinished timeline concept. This feels like the core distinction between present perfect and past simple.
It absolutely is. If you use the past simple, the timeline is closed, it's finished. If I say, I saw 3 movies last week, well, last week is over. I can't add another movie to that count.
The door is shut on last week.
Exactly. But if you use the present perfect, you're talking about a period of time that started in the past and continues right up to this current moment. The timeline is unfinished.
The potential for continuation is still there.
That's what makes it so powerful. For example, I haven't been to New York yet. That word yet confirms the window is still open. I can still go. The non-action is relevant now.
Interesting. Our source also mentions a slight difference between American and British English here.
Yes. This is a subtle but important nuance for advanced listeners. In the U.S., it's becoming more common to use the past simple for very recently finished actions. I just ate lunch.
Whereas a British English speaker might be more likely to say,
I have just eaten lunch. They tend to retain that present perfect to maintain the connection to the present result, which in this case is not being hungry.
But both are correct?
Both are correct. It just helps with comprehension across different regions.
Yeah.
So the fundamental question to ask is always, does this past action still have a foot in the present? If yes, use the perfect.
Okay, that clarifies it. Which brings us to our last tense in the present stack, the present perfect continuous.
Right. So if the present perfect simple connects a finished past action to the present, the continuous form focuses relentlessly on the process, the effort leading up to now.
So its core use is to stress the continuation and, importantly, the duration of an action, something that started in the past and is either still going or just stopped, but has a visible present result.
You've got it. We use it specifically to answer the question, how long?
The structure is the first of the really complex ones we've seen. Subject plus have or has plus been plus the verb with ing.
So if you started learning English 2 years ago and you're still doing it, you'd say, I've been learning English for 2 years.
The emphasis is on the time spent. I can see that. I'm thinking of a situation, like you see a coworker who looks exhausted. You might say, she's been working all day.
Perfect example. The continuous form implies fatigue, effort, an arduous process that creates a present result. Her exhaustion.
It can also be used to explain evidence, like the grass is brown because it hasn't been raining lately.
Yes, the continuous non-action in the past explains the visible result in the present.
And before we move on, we have to revisit the state verb rule one last time.
We must, because it applies here too, and that's a key point of confusion for many learners. The state verb prohibition doesn't just disappear.
So even if you're describing duration with a verb like know, you can't make it continuous.
Never. You must revert to the present perfect simple. You have to say, I've known her for years.
Not, I've been knowing her for years.
That phrase instantly signals a lapse in fundamental grammar. The rule forces you out of the continuous and back into the simple form when dealing with those static verbs.
All right, so we've anchored ourselves in the present. Now let's move fully into the past stack. These are all about events that are 100% complete.
Finished, yes. These tenses are for pinpointing, progressing, and sequencing events that are firmly over.
And we start with the other foundational tense, the past simple.
It's equal in importance to the present simple. It's for actions that happened and are entirely finished. It's the tense of storytelling, of historical accounts, of anything firmly in the past.
The structure is so clean. Subject plus the past tense of the verb. If it's a regular verb, you just add in or enend. I visited my grandma last weekend.
But if it's irregular, there is no escape. You just have to have memorized that second form. They ate pizza, not they eated pizza.
Right, and you can use it with a specific time reference, like last weekend, or without one if the time is obvious.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about the dialogue structure and what our source calls the auxiliary trap. This is probably the most common student mistake in the past.
Okay, the auxiliary trap. I'm listening.
So when you form a question, you use the auxiliary verb did. For negative, you use didn't.
Right.
Here's the crucial part. The word did is already in the past simple form. It carries the past tense marker for the whole sentence.
So the main verb doesn't need to.
The main verb must revert to its base form. It gets a holiday. Learners constantly fall into the trap of wanting to mark the past tense twice.
So you'll see something like, did they went to the concert?
Which is redundant and incorrect. The correct form is, did they go to the concert? Same applies to negatives. I didn't like the movie, never didn't like the movie.
That's a powerful rule. It really enforces efficiency in the language.
It does.
Okay, so from those sharp, finished actions, we move to the past continuous.
Right. If the past simple provides the key events, the past continuous gives us the movement, the background, the context for those events.
So its core usage has two functions. First, actions that were in progress at a specific time in the past.
Like she was sleeping at 10 p.m., we're pinpointing the progress of the action to a specific past moment.
And second, and this is the one used in storytelling all the time, actions that were interrupted by another action.
Yes, the interruption dynamic. This is pure narrative technique. You use the past continuous to set the scene, the background activity, and then you use a past simple to introduce the sudden, short, interrupting event.
So let's build an example. The long, continuous action would be,
I was reading a book,
and the short interrupter.
when the doorbell rang. The structure tells us that the reading was still happening when the doorbell completed its action.
The ongoing action gets the past continuous, and the interrupting action gets the past simple.
That dynamic contrast is what makes storytelling vivid. You know exactly what was background and what was foreground, and dialogue is built the same way. Were you listening to me? Sorry, I wasn't listening, I was checking my phone.
It's all about an ongoing process at a specific reference point in the past.
Precisely.
Now we arrive at the past perfect. Our source says, for any advanced learner wanting to write sophisticated prose, this tense is mandatory.
It absolutely is. We use it to show that one past action happened distinctly before another past action. It is the true past in the past.
The narrative clarifier. It solves ambiguity when we tell events out of order.
That's a great name for it. If you say A happened, then B happened, you can just use past simple for both.
Right.
But if you want to mention B before you mention A, you need the past perfect to avoid confusion.
And the structure is thankfully universal. Subject plus had plus past participle. Same for everybody.
Yes, no need to worry about conjugations there.
So let's break down the sequence. We have two past actions. Action one is the first thing that happened.
And that takes the past perfect form, had, plus the past participle.
And action two is the later thing that happened.
And that takes the past simple form. The canonical example is, I had already eaten when they arrived.
Right. If I just said, I ate when they arrived, the timing is a bit ambiguous. It could mean I ate after they got there.
Exactly. But had eaten clarifies instantly that the eating was completed before the arrival even started.
It's all about providing necessary context. Like, why did Jane quit? She quit because she had saved enough money.
Perfect. The saving, past perfect, earlier action, explains the quitting, past simple, later action.
And what if the second past action isn't stated?
That can happen if it's obvious from the context. If you say they had finished the game, the implication is they finished it before some other relevant past event that you're both already aware of.
And for negatives and questions, hadja just acts as the auxiliary.
Yep. I hadn't heard the news. Or had he ever been to Canada before that? It's very straightforward.
Okay, this brings us to the final tense of the past perfect continuous. This feels like the temporal equivalent of a flashback within a flashback.
That's a fantastic analogy. It shows how long something had been happening up to the point of a second event in the past.
So the focus is strictly on the duration that was continuous, leading right up to a specific past moment.
Right. The structure is the longest yet. Subject plus had been plus verb with ing.
So when would we use this? When is that duration really important?
It's important when the continuous process helps understand the context of the past simple action. There's a subtle difference between the perfect simple and perfect continuous here.
Okay, can you give an example?
Sure. I had waited for 30 minutes is past perfect. It just stresses the completion of the waiting. But I had been waiting for 30 minutes before the bus came. That's past perfect continuous. It stresses the continuous process and maybe the resulting frustration or boredom. It adds an emotional weight.
I see. It's often used in explanations or justifications then, like he was irritable because he had been studying for 12 hours. The ongoing effort explains the past state.
Exactly, and because duration is the whole point, this tense almost always requires a time reference. For 30 minutes, all day, for hours. We need that time frame to justify using it.
All right, we've dissected the past. Let's now turn our attention to the future stack, the 4 tenses that deal with possibilities, plans, and deadlines.
And we start with the future simple, using the modal auxiliary will.
Which is the foundational way to talk about the future, but its core function seems to be tied more to immediacy and subjective intention.
That's a key insight. Its core usage covers decisions made at the moment of speaking, spontaneous choices, as well as more formal predictions, promises, or offers.
And the structure is the easiest of all. Subject plus will plus base verb. Universal.
So if you decide right now to get a drink, that wasn't planned. It's spontaneous. You say, I'll go get a drink.
And that spontaneity is what distinguishes will from, say, be going to.
Yes. If I decide right now, I'll help you with those bags, that's will. If I already planned yesterday to help you, I'd probably say, I'm going to help you. Will is tied to the instant you speak.
It's also definitive for promises, I will call you tomorrow.
Or the negative commitment, I won't forget.
Now, what about predictions? Our source highlights a fascinating conversational habit here.
Yes. When we're making a less certain prediction, we often soften it by adding an opinion word before will. Like I think, I believe, or I hope.
So instead of a very strong, he will get the promotion, you might say, I think he'll get the promotion.
Exactly. It softens the certainty and makes it clear it's your personal belief, not a fixed schedule.
Which is much more common in everyday conversation. And for questions, we'll just moves to the front.
Yep. Will you be ready by noon? And the negative is, of course, won't.
Okay, so from spontaneous events to the future continuous, this feels more like blocking out time in advance.
It is. Its core usage is to describe actions that will be in progress at a specific time in the future.
It's a tense of visualization.
It really is. It allows the listener to mentally place the subject inside an ongoing activity at a point yet to come. The structure is subject plus will be plus verb with ing.
And a key functional use is managing schedules and politely declining things.
Absolutely. If a friend asks to meet at 3 p.m. tomorrow and you can't, you explain the conflict. Sorry, I can't. I'll be working at 3 p.m. You're emphasizing the ongoing nature of the work that prevents the meeting.
It's also used to ask about someone's plans in a softer, more polite way.
Right. Asking, will you be using the car at 5 p.m. tomorrow? Feels less demanding than will you use the car. It suggests the plan might already be in motion.
I see that. And the negative just follows suit. I won't be going to the party next week.
Meaning the continuous act of being at the party won't be in progress for you.
Now for the future perfect. Our source calls this one of the most powerful tenses for logistics and setting expectations.
I would agree with that. Its core usage is for actions that will be completed before a specific time in the future.
It's the tense of the deadline.
That's perfect. The tense, the deadline. It creates a definitive milestone. The action can start whenever, but by a certain future point, it must be finished.
And the structure is robust. Subject plus will have plus the past participle.
The relevance to project management, to any kind of planning, is immense. If you're setting expectations for a report, I will have finished the assignment by tomorrow morning. It's a guarantee of completion relative to that deadline.
And the essential clue for using this tense is the word
By.
by.
You can't really talk about the future perfect without highlighting the power of that preposition. Plus, a future time reference is the anchor for this tense.
They will have arrived by then. By the time we land, the sun will have set.
Exactly. And the negative is just as important for forecasting shortfalls. We won't have saved enough money by next summer for the trip. It allows you to analyze the future based on your current progress.
It's a cool concept. It forces you to mentally jump to a future point and look backward to see if an action is done.
That's a great way to visualize it.
And finally, we complete the full cycle with the 12th structure, the future perfect continuous.
The rarest of them all. We use this to talk about how long something will have been happening before a specific point in the future.
Structure-wise, it's the most elaborate. Subject plus will have been plus verb in the ing form.
Now, let's be frank about its frequency. In everyday conversation, this tense is very, very rare.
Why is that?
Because the situation it describes Calculating a precise duration leading up to a future cutoff point is just not something we need to do very often in casual speech. It's more for formal planning or detailed reflections.
But, as our source points out, for academic knowledge and for language exams, it is absolutely essential. You have to know all 12 to complete the toolkit.
You do. And the classic example showcases its function perfectly. It's all about duration leading to a future point.
Yeah.
So imagine an anniversary.
Okay.
By next April, I'll have been working at this company for 10 years. You're calculating the total duration. 10 years. That will be completed precisely at that future deadline, next April.
And that word by is still crucial here.
Still crucial. It marks the terminal point, and you can place that time reference at the beginning or the end of the sentence. Will they have been dating for a year by their anniversary trip?
It really is a fascinating structure. It proves English has a tool for every possible relationship between action and time, no matter how complex it gets.
Even the really, really specific ones.
So we have completed the full circuit of English time expression. We covered the 4 present tenses: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Then the 4 past tenses: simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. And finally, the 4 future tenses. A complete toolkit of 12 structures.
And the critical takeaway for you, the learner, should be this. Don't let the number of structures overwhelm you. The real mastery comes from understanding the intent. Just ask yourself, what am I trying to say?
Am I describing a general truth, present simple?
Yeah.
Am I talking about a temporary conflict in my future schedule?
Future continuous? Or a duration that establishes a past sequence, past perfect continuous?
It's about matching the linguistic purpose to the pattern. Once you understand that the present perfect is always about that unfinished timeline, the structures start to make logical sense.
They do. And as our source explicitly mentions, knowing the rules is only step 1. Practice constant repetition, and especially diagnosing your own mistakes, is essential to turn that knowledge into fluent, automatic application.
Which prompts our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. If the goal isn't just to know the rules, but to use them fluidly, spontaneously in a real conversation, which of the 12 tenses do you think requires the most conscious mental effort for even a fluent speaker to maintain? And why might that be the case?
That's a great question. I mean, you should probably consider the tenses that demand connecting 3 separate points in time. A starting point in the past, a process, and then a future or past reference point. Those are the ones that really stretch the limits of our real-time linguistic processing.
Something to ponder as you cycle to work or perhaps grab that spontaneous cup of coffee? That is all the time we have for this deep dive into the 12 English verb tenses.
Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.